Alright. Here we go. FC 25 is officially out, reviews are pouring in, and we can definitively say EA FC 25 is good and EA did a good job. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, alright. See, yeah, look, the first guy was right. It was, well, I guess... So just like the release day from previous years, EA FC 25 has some mixed reviews coming in. Some are calling it absolutely amazing, while others describe it using too many expletives for me to show because my grandma watches these videos. Hi grandma. Now I decided to get the trial version of the game, which allowed me to play 10 hours worth. Plenty of time to properly review the game modes and, of course, the gameplay. Now I've made my opinion clear that I don't exactly like EA or, you know, the games that they've been making for the past few years, but I'll try to set my biases aside and just focus on what the game is and how it compares to previous years of this game. And let's start with the game modes, specifically Division Rivals. Now there's been a slight change in how people can progress in this game mode. It used to be strictly based on wins, but now it's based on points. 15 points gets you the standard rewards, while a staggering 45 points gets you the upgraded rewards. Who the has time for that? Now this means that players can actually draw their matches and actually still be making progress towards their rewards, and with no other context involved, that's actually a pretty decent change. However, I do think that the system for divisions in previous FIFAs was better, as you could play your 10 games whenever you wanted, earn your rewards immediately, and then start your 10 games again. We're still doing these weekly rewards, so if you get your point total that you need early in the week, there is no need to continue playing, and while 45 points is obviously a lot to get, there will certainly be grinders who will hit that nearly every single week. No, I'm not saying that Division Rivals needs to be that system specifically, it's just that is what was replaced in the past. And so obviously that's why it was brought up. In my opinion, it would be best if it was a separate game mode altogether. Now for squad battles, it's pretty much the same thing as always, but now they're just reducing the amount of matches that's needed to be played from 32 to 14. Now that's it for the squad battle information, but if anything, that was too long. Like, let's be real, who plays squad battles? Now as for FUT Champs, this is the one that's probably changed the most with the returning game modes for both the qualification and the actual competition. Qualification now requires 3 wins out of 5 instead of the previous 4 out of 10, making it more difficult than in the past, although not as difficult as needing 4 straight wins like in previous FIFAs. As for the main part of Champs, the amount of matches is out of 15, once again getting reduced, this time from 20 matches. Points are seemingly taken out of the equation and it's just all about wins. From here, it's pretty much all the same, with more wins meaning higher rewards and certain win totals giving you higher ranks. Now I assume with the good rewards that EA are giving us for this mode, as well as the reduced amount of matches to make mistakes in, that this is going to be the sweatiest game mode of all time, so be sure to have another change of shirt ready. Finally, we have Rush, the new game mode that I compared to Volta, and I gotta say, I was dead wrong here. Rush is low-key fun as hell. Now, each of the 4 players is individually controlled, making it fun with friends, or if you're playing with randoms, an experience so bad that Jigsaw would think it's too much for his torture. All right, good tackle. All right, I'm open. Pass. F you. All right, let's give it back now. Give it back. Please pass me the ball. Why don't you just pass the ball? What the fuck? All right, let me just run into space here. Why are you running with me? Go to the corner. How about we spread out, yeah? Please defend. Please defend. Can you please defend? Can you please No, of course you can't. I hate you. I hate you. Oh, I'm man of the match. Shocker, because I only do everything. Now, even with those terrible random teammates in mind, Rush is still a very fun game mode. However, I do have a couple of concerns with it. For one thing, this is still not the Divisions type game mode that I explained from earlier. Yes, it's still more casual and more fast-paced, which is great, but it's not an 11v11 experience like the other game modes, so it can't exactly be compared to them. Now, another thing is that I worry how long this game mode will last, and what I mean by that is that I wonder if EA or even the fan base will start to neglect it. Now, depending on the rewards that are giving out by this game mode, plus the fact that you need 45 points from rivals to get the upgraded rewards, players may start to disregard it or sparingly use it, like the Friendlies game mode. Oh my god, I completely forgot about Friendlies game mode. See, you see what I mean? This is how little I thought about it. I hope Rush doesn't become like this. We've also seen EA flat out ignore certain features within Ultimate Team, like the active events feature that I genuinely do not think was used in all of FIFA 23. While I'm not saying it'll go completely untouched, Draft is still identical to when it was introduced back in FIFA 16. So I wonder how much of an emphasis the devs will put on it, especially compared to the competitive aspects of Rivals and Champs. If I'm being honest, I actually do like some of the game mode tweaks that have been added. However, that's actually fairly typical. While they've certainly missed in the past, game modes aren't typically the problem, at least the major problem. Now again, EA absolutely needs to add some type of Divisions game mode from the past, or even better, a tournament knockout style game mode, like the World Cup game mode from FIFA 18, or, you know, something from the UEFA competitions that they have a license for. This would be a more fun game mode that gives small rewards and then would allow us to try new players in a more casual environment. I also have some reservations about how Rush will be treated in the future, both by the FIFA community and EA, and I also wonder what Champs will be like with the amount of matches changing yet again. We used to play 40 weekend league matches in 2 days, and let me tell ya, that changes a man. Overall, these are some small but actual decent changes made to the FUT game modes, but Rush will be the deciding factor in whether or not Ultimate Team will have a more casual mode, or if it's going to be another sweat fest for another year. Now, as for new features that have been added into the game, or ones that have been adjusted from previous years, we're going to start by looking at some that are outside of gameplay and take a look at those a little bit later. So starting with something new, there is a season pass that's been added across the entire game, which is actually pretty nice in my opinion. At least the free version is, and not the paid version that they are planning on adding, because that is f***ing diabolical, especially when people are paying $90 for the game. Oh, interesting, they're waiting until after Season 1 to add the paid Season Pass, when the reviews are already in. Cool. The free version of the Season Pass, though, is actually a nice little addition, and I like how it's across every single game mode. For example, you can play Manager Career Mode, Player Career Mode, or Clubs, and still be working towards some rewards for Ultimate Team. But one thing I hope they adjust is giving more options for other game modes besides Ultimate Team. For example, the third option in the Season Pass is either a Tifo for Ultimate Team or glasses for Manager Career, which is great. But the next thing that gives you anything for Career Mode or Clubs is level 8, and that's just the bundle. Going forward, I think there needs to be more choices at every level for every single game mode, because believe it or not, some players actually don't hate themselves enough to just play Ultimate Team. Now moving on to evolutions, this was probably the only thing that kept me playing for as long as I did last year, and thankfully they've actually improved on it a little bit by making one key change: the requirements. The requirements are actually a bit more relaxed, so more cards can be used for evolutions. Now, in order to prevent people from making insanely overpowered players, there will be a cap for certain stats. For example, this evolution has a cap of 83 defending, so even if a player that gets put in will theoretically get a +8 to their defending, they will be capped at 83, like this Basuma for example. He only gets a +5 rather than a +8. This adjustment is actually a good idea from EA because it allows more players to be used. However, we have also been burned by EA many times, so we have to make sure that some of these upgrades are not too small. Now let's move on to the most important thing in any video game, let alone FIFA. And that's the gameplay. It always boggles my mind how people think content or the graphics are the most important thing, but you know, some people eat their steak well done, so I should expect some weirdos, right? Regardless of any positive thing that I've said before, that does not matter if the gameplay is not good, and in my opinion, the gameplay is once again lacking. Let's start with the most obvious thing about the gameplay that has not been fixed in over a decade, and that's inconsistent gameplay. When you go into a match, it is a complete coin toss whether or not the gameplay will be delayed, and that's only because it's the first week. When the full game is released, the servers will be even more backed up, and the gameplay will be more often than not bad, with everything taking a little longer, including player animations, and there will be more emphasis touches. All of this while having 12 ping, by the way. Now, this is obviously a major problem, but I've also lost all faith in the fact that EA could fix it, especially because they haven't even addressed it. But one thing they could fix is attacking AI. However, that one left me a little disappointed as well. Behind inconsistent gameplay, attacking AI is the most important thing in the game because it's arguably the biggest thing that dictates whether or not the game is fun. Since FIFA 17, we haven't had good attacking AI, and while this year is perhaps a little better than FC 24, that doesn't mean it's necessarily good. In my experience, attackers still need a lot of hand-holding and will routinely stand around, waiting for something to happen. FC IQ, one of the biggest gameplay features this year, tries to remedy this by having player roles. Now, these player roles essentially replace player instructions and will tell players what their main position is. Now, on paper, this is a good thing, mostly because this was completely ripped off from Football Manager, but, you know, that's a good game, so I don't mind. But in all honesty, this seems like an idea that should work because you're just telling a player where to position themselves in the attack. However, just like with everything EA does, the idea is a lot better than the execution. Player roles seem to be a little too rigid and defined, which makes for less fluid attacks and moments of frustration. In this clip, my center mid Llorente has a bit of space to run into because one of my strikers is playing as a false 9. I anticipate him running into space and I tried to attempt a pass. Now, while the pass itself would most likely not be completed, I don't even have a chance to try because he stops running and turns the other way. Now, there are two reasons why I think this is a bad sign, and the first one is that regardless of a player role, he should be making this run. I've already shown in my FIFA 17 video that players will attack space even when they have low attacking work rates, are on stay back while attacking, and have 60-something attack positioning. What's even more frustrating is that even if you believe he shouldn't make a run because of a certain role, in this context he is a box-to-box center mid, and his heat map says that he should be going forward in certain situations, but in this case, he just doesn't. Now, there are occasions where a player will run into space regardless of their player role, as demonstrated by Foot Universe's clip here. Sometimes working is certainly better than never working. However, the attacking AI is still just a little too inconsistent for my liking. And lastly, for the gameplay, we have a few aspects that, while they may be smaller, does not mean that they are unimportant. The shooting seems to have taken another step back this year, as 1v1s should be going in more often than they are. Now, it's not atrociously bad like it was in FIFA 19, but FIFA 23's 1v1 finishing was solid and seemed to be more consistent compared to FC 24 and FC 25. And I have to say this because I know someone will say something, but making the 1v1 finishing more random does not make the game better nor add a skill gap. In fact, it does the literal exact opposite. Now, passing is a hit or miss for me. On one hand, I love the fact that players can't make stupid 30-yard passes with their backs turned toward the player they're passing to, but on the other hand, there are times when I can't string together 2 or 3 simple one-touch passes. And that brings up the game speed, which is a little too slow for me. I understand some may feel differently about this, but at the end of the day, this is a video game, period. It's supposed to be a fun, arcadey style game with a realistic base. I don't need players moving around like they just drank 17 cans of Bang energy, but quicker play will be more fun and offer a higher skill gap. And this slower game speed in turn affects the left stick dribbling. In the slower style gameplay, the left stick dribbling isn't actually too bad, but again, I believe that the game speed should be faster, and ergo, the left stick dribbling should follow suit. Stand tackles seem to be a bit better with the 2 tackle tacks. Now, again, it's not perfect by any means, and I'm sure we'll be seeing clips of the ball bouncing back to the opponent 5 times before they score, but at the very least, it's a step in the right direction. And lastly, with defending in general, I don't think it's too bad. The defensive AI, while still being slightly overpowered, is not as overpowered compared to recent years. People seem to have to actually manually defend in order to get the ball more often, which is great to see, and it should be encouraged more. But I do wish second man press would actually work a bit better. Italian Stallion, please come back to us. I'm begging you. Just tell EA to fix second man press, please. So here's the thing. Overall, there are some positives and negatives about the game, pretty much like there is every single year. And there certainly seems to be a little bit of hype around this year. Again, same like every year. However, I do think the game will go into a downward spiral because of 3 reasons. For one, there will certainly be a patch or a series of patches that will inevitably plunge the game into an AI-assisted nightmare that makes the game annoying to play, like there is every year. 2, there will eventually be a new meta that's discovered that will make the game boring to play, like there is every year. This is why the first month of FIFA is always the best, because virtually no one knows what the meta is or knows how to spam it. And what's funny is that people don't remember that. No one is spamming the same thing every single game. Yeah, because no one knows how to do anything yet. Just give it a month. You just wait and see. And the third thing is because every single year and in every FIFA, there are EA mistakes, bugs, glitches, slow menus, and bad servers that make the game even less enjoyable. I mean, before the standard edition of the game was even released, there was a queue to get into Ultimate Team. How does that happen? Now, I want to make it clear that I don't want this game to be bad. I genuinely want it to succeed. Of course, I want a video game of my favorite sport that's fun to play, and for the first month or so, we typically do have that game. Now, could this game actually be good? I mean, yeah, it's certainly possible, and I've actually had a bit of fun reviewing the game and trying out the new game modes. But do I genuinely think that that will be my experience for the entire year? Well, the past 6 iterations of the game being truly awful makes me think no. But hey, it's fine, all right? Because at least there's, at least there's, oh, the menu lagged out. Cool.